Hey everybody, Andrew Garda from the Montclair Local here at the home office, where generally I'm recording podcasts. It's a twice weekly show on the NFL and fantasy called At the Whistle, so you can check it out on Podbean, iTunes, and Stitcher. But instead today we're doing this video now because Irvington shut the lights off last night right after the game. So it does give me a chance to kind of think about what I want to say here because 34-21 Irvington over Montclair, and it was a disappointing performance all the way around. We start off in the first half with, yes, some really bad officiating that puts the Mounties down 20-7. But there were some other issues there. A lot of drop passes, some poor decisions in fielding punts when they shouldn't have, and just in general, sloppy play offensively. Defensively, actually played pretty well. We go into the second half, the Mounties start driving down the field. They get to in the red zone, and then they're in the third down, and an interception is thrown into double coverage in the end zone. And, Irvington takes that ball, heads the other way. It's a 14-point swing because they score. And, we could talk again about another pass a little bit later on. But really, at the end of the day, what you got to look at with this offense is this is not last year's offense. And yet, in a lot of respects, it still functions a bit like that. And that's kind of a problem. This Mounties team doesn't know what it is right now, doesn't know what its personality is. If you want my opinion, I think you got to lean on the defense, which has generally played pretty well. Had some problems in the secondary, but by and large have been able to step up. And last night played pretty well considering they were on a short field almost every single time Irvington got the ball. It was in the Mounties' end. And still, 34 points is not what you want to give up, but by the same token, it could have been much worse. And again, you're out on the field constantly, a lot of 3-and-outs by the offense. You're tired. Willie Matthews gets hurt. It's just a problem. So I don't know what the personality for this team is, much less the offense. And the Mounties have a week to figure it out, and their situation isn't as good as it was going into the game. First of all, Bridgewater Raritan beats Union, which means that Bridgewater Raritan ends up in the playoffs, and Union City gets bumped into the Mounties bracket. Union City already had a leg up on the Mounties, which means all roads go through Union City now. So the Mounties at least drop down to the second or third spot. But wait, because this loss is bad enough that the Bourne index for the Mounties is probably going to take a really big hit, which means they could be third or fifth. It could get much worse. The Mounties could end up with no home games at Woodman, and that is terribly disappointing at this point. But that doesn't mean that they can't win. The Mounties have gone on the road and won before, so that's what they got to do. They got to figure out, what are we going to do? How are we going to overcome losing Willie Matthews possibly for a couple weeks? Bo Bigelow also hurt for a couple of weeks. Although the good thing is this offensive line has a lot of depth, so that shouldn't really hurt the Mounties much. At the end of the day, though, it's going to come down to senior leadership and what they could do to get this team together and figure out, how do we improve things? They've got a week to do it. And of course, we'll be there next week for the playoff game. We'll be here all week. I'll give you my full thoughts on this game on Thursday in the Montclair Local. For the Montclair Local, this is Andrew Garda remotely from the home office, and I'll see you guys next weekend.